call the roll?
Calling the roll for the Tuesday, October 15, 2024 Board of Control meeting. It is 11:02 a.m. We have Councilmember Dale Miller,
Present.
Laura Black serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones Jr.,
Present.
Melanie Say serving as an alternate for Mike Dever,
Here.
Catherine Gallagher serving as an alternate for Chris Renee, County Executive,
Here.
Michael Chambers serving, Fiscal Officer serving as Chairman,
Here.
Paul Porter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the review and the approval of the minutes from October 7th. I'll make a motion. Is there a second to approve?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Let's go on to our first item.
First, item BC 2024-732, Department of Public Works submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Lake Erie Construction Company in the amount not to exceed $51,225 for the removal and replacement of guardrails located on Usher Road in Olmsted Township, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, everyone. Tom Pavich, Public Works. This first item is approval of a purchase order with Lake Erie Construction. It's for the guardrail replacement on Usher Road, which is a county road in the township. We submitted this as an exemption. It was bid out competitively as an informal bid. The engineer's estimate was less than $50,000. That's why we did the informal bid approach. The only bid that we got came in just over $50,000. We did this, again, bid it out competitively, went to 117 vendors, bid it out multiple times, and we did get the one bid. We're looking to make that award to Lake Erie Construction.
Thank you, Tom. Are there questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2024-733, Department of Public Works, Division of Public Utilities, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Ohio Schools Council in the amount not to exceed $15,000 for assistance in the development and administration of a request for proposal for installation of solar arrays for 5 school districts in connection with the Cuyahoga County Solar for Schools project, effective upon signatures of all parties for a period of 1 year, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Matt Ruby, Department of Public Works. Cuyahoga Green Energy is leading the Solar for Schools program, which the goal of that is to get solar arrays installed on school buildings in what was started as 5, but is now 4 different school districts in the county. It is being funded by 2 separate federal grant awards that we received. This contract with Ohio Schools Council, which is being funded exclusively from the DOE grant, as it's shown on the agenda, is to find the solar installer. So Ohio Schools Council, because they are the lead procurement agent for school districts across the state, they will take the lead on actually drafting the RFP, putting it out, finding an installer, and then that installer will contract individually with each of the school districts, independent of us, to actually complete the work.
All right, Matthew, thank you. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-734, Treasurer's Office submitting an amendment to a contract with Meter Public Funds Incorporated for investment advisor services for the period January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2024, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2025, to change the insurance requirements effective upon signatures of all parties, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $160,000.
Good morning, Dominique Tatum, Fiscal Department. This is an amendment to our contract with Meter. It's a 1-year extension and an amount of $160,000.
Thank you, Dominique. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-735, Department of Information Technology, on behalf of the Communications Department, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to M&J Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $5,140 for the purchase of 1 each professional plan Sprout Social Incorporated and unlimited profile subscription services for the period September 6, 2024 through September 5, 2025, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Matt Ruby, Department of IT. So this is a purchase that was made on behalf of the Department of Communications to renew their Social Sprout subscription, excuse me. This is used as a media monitoring tool for the department to collect data. They use it as part of the Cuyahoga Performance Dashboard, as well as to guide their decision-making within their department.
Thank you, Matt. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next, item BC 2024-736, Department of Information Technology, on behalf of the Communications Department, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Sony Electronics Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $1,189.25 for the repair and replacement of a damaged lens mount on the multimedia system, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Matt Ruby, Department of IT. Again, this is another purchase made on behalf of the Department of Communications. They were out at a media event and a piece of Sony equipment was broken. So it was sent off to Sony to make the repair, given that it was their equipment, their proprietary stuff. The reason why this came in front of the board is because the size of that company, we had difficulty getting some of our basic procurement documents from them. So in lieu of some of those, we put it in front of the board.
Thank you again, Matt. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next, item BC 2024-737, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to M&J Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $69,640 for a state contract purchase of 2 each Cisco Nexus 9218 Ethernet switches, Cisco SmartNet Total Care licenses, software support, 35 transceivers, and related accessories for use by the Board of Elections at 1801 Superior Avenue, Cleveland, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Matt Ruby, Department of IT. As stated, this is a equipment purchase for 2 switches to start or continue building out the physical network infrastructure for the 1801 Superior building.
Thank you, Matt. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
you.
Next item.
Next, item BC 2024-738, Department of Human Resources recommending an award and submitting an agreement with the Metro Health System and the amount not to exceed $38,725 for flu shot clinic services for county employees, effective upon contract signatures of all parties through December 31st, 2024.
Stephen Witt with Human Resources. This is our annual agreement with Metro Health for flu shot clinics for county employees as part of the wellness program. We plan on holding these at 7 different locations throughout the county this week and next week, with clinics having started today.
Thank you, Stephen. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next, item BC 2024-739, Personnel Review Commission submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to the Archer Company in the amount not to exceed $75,000 for classification and compensation analysis and general consulting services for the period December 5th, 2024 through December 4th, 2027, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Chair. The Personnel Review Commission, Albert Bouchahine. We're requesting approval of an exemption to enter into a contract with the Archer Company for 3 years, not to exceed $75,000. Would be $25,000 per year. This will allow the Archer Company to conduct and recommend job evaluations on new and revised classifications and provide general professional consulting services related to the county's classification and compensation systems.
Thank you, Albert. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item?
Next, item BC 2024-740, Court of Common Pleas Corrections Planning Board submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Case Western Reserve University in the amount not to exceed $52,700 for process and outcome evaluation services of the High-Risk Domestic Violence Court Program for the period October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2027, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Hi, Linda Lagoonzad with the Corrections Planning Board. The Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court received a 4-year grant from the U.S. Department of Justice's Criminal Justice Responses to Domestic Violence, Dating Violence, Sexual Assault, and Stalking Grant Program. It's under the Office of Violence Against Women, and this is to enhance the court's high-risk domestic violence court. So this is a second grant that this particular court has received from the federal government. The program fosters victim safety and offender accountability in cases of domestic violence, and it does so by bringing together criminal justice agencies, victim service providers, and community-based organizations that respond to domestic violence. The grant-funded court will address 40 to 50 participants per year and amounting to about 160 to 200 served during the grant period. Now, with this in mind, the court wants to enter into a new contract with Case Western Reserve University to provide an ongoing evaluation of the high-risk domestic violence court that will be used to determine if the court model is being implemented to fidelity, or in other words, is being implemented as intended under the grant. Dr. Jeff Kretschmar will regularly share process and outcome data with the court team to track performance, data, and ensure continuous quality improvement.
Thank you, Linda. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Miss Melanie Say. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Thank you.
Next, item BC 2024-741, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an amendment to a contract with Applewood Centers Incorporated for clinical case management services for the Community-Based Intervention Center for the period February 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2026, to replace the insurance requirements effective July 1st, 2024, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $159,007.68.
Good morning, Sharon Allen, Juvenile Court. This contract will provide clinical case management services for youth assigned to the Community-Based Intervention Center, and this contract is 100% funded by the Reclaim Grant.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Next, item BC 2024-742, correcting to read omitted the document management systems and each should read exceed. County prosecutor submitting an amendment to a contract with Point Blank Solutions Limited for software and maintenance on the Justice Matters and DocuPoint case and document management systems for the period February 29, 2016 through February 28, 2026, to expand the scope of services for the addition of optical character recognition conversion page packs and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $99,000 effective upon contract signatures of all parties.
Good morning, Josh Brower with the Prosecutor's Office. This item is an amendment to our Point Blank Solutions contract to add $99,000 in additional funds for OCR document scanning services to be utilized by our case management system. It's also known as Matrix.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve the item as amended by the clerk. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve as amended, say aye. Aye. The item is approved as amended. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-743, Sheriff's Department submitting an amendment to an agreement. Oh, this item is being held at the request of the council president, sorry.
Okay, very good. Next item then, please.
Next item, BC 2024-744, Sheriff's Department submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Justice Research Associates LLC in the amount not to exceed $25,500 for a staffing study to analyze and recommend staffing levels to meet operational needs effective upon signatures of all parties for a period of 1 year and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Chris Costin, Sheriff's Department. Yes, this is analysis for law enforcement staffing levels. The goal of the study is to reduce overtime and improve efficiencies within the department.
Thank you, Chris. Are there questions from the board on this item? Councilman, please.
Could you say more about what you would hope to learn from the study that would help you reduce overtime?
This is Chief Deputy Reese's project. I will have to consult with him. I could have him reach out to you.
Okay.
I know it has a lot to do with our staffing levels and the risks that we are seeing, and it's also going to reduce our overtime.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions on the item? Seeing no further questions, Councilman, are we good to move forward, or do you want me to hold?
I'm good to move forward.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear that this is gonna help with the overtime, which is a serious problem in the sheriff's
Sure.
office, and I look forward to seeing the results and the reductions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further questions, then I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-745, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a payment to Enterprise Community Partners Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $122,343.26 as final payment for various time periods as invoiced July 31st, 2024, to promote the Earned Income Tax Credit, Child Care Tax Credit, and provide free tax preparation assistance to low and moderate income individuals and families for services rendered under contract number 1564 during the contract term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services. Excuse me. On behalf of Jobs and Family Services, this contract is to pay a final invoice on a contract that ended in June of 2024. When we received this invoice, there was not enough funding remaining on the contract that had just ended. It was not that the vendor exceeded their contract value, but rather this dated back actually to the original execution of this contract in 2021. When that contract was executed, we paid invoices from 2020 and another contract that had expired from this contract. This essentially left this contract short in the long run.
Okay, Marcos, thank you for the explanation. Are there questions from the board? Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-746, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to the Centers for Families and Children in the amount not to exceed $500,000 for capital improvements to the Cleveland Christian Home building site in connection with the Child Wellness Campus project for the period July 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
Good morning again, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of Children and Family Services. Again, this is a contract for capital improvements to the future Child Wellness Campus. The funding is for safety enhancements that would support the goal of a therapeutic environment for youth. Those enhancements include updating the sprinkler system in order to meet the City of Cleveland's requirements, anti-ligature improvements by updating door hardware, grab bars, toilet paper holders, toilets, shower heads, etc. Additionally, they will be relocating light switches from the inside of the bedrooms to the outside in the corridor and upgrading all bedrooms to include impact-resistant drywall.
Thank you, Marcos. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on.
Moving on to exemptions, first item BC 2024-747, Sheriff's Department recommending an alternative procurement process which will result in award recommendations to various providers as listed on the printed agenda items A through MM, and the total amount not to exceed $400,000 for emergency off-site medical services for inmates for the period January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2026.
Chris Costin, Sheriff's Department. This is our annual alternative procurement process. It will allow us to create POs as needed for our off-site medical services with the vendors listed.
Thank you, Chris. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve this exemption. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item BC 2024-748, Department of Health and Human Services, Office of the Director, recommending an alternative procurement process to solicit proposals for a period of 2 weeks for seasonal shelter and supportive services for shelter-resistant persons experiencing homelessness in Cuyahoga County, which may result in one or more award recommendations for the period November 15, 2024 through April 15, 2025, and the total amount not to exceed $100,000.
Good morning again, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services. As the weather inevitably gets colder in Northeast Ohio, some unhoused individuals rely on seasonal shelters to provide respite from the extreme cold. These shelters offer very low barrier entry to the unhoused to stay safe when the temperatures dip below freezing. Again, this alternative procurement will allow us to issue a modified request for proposals, as well as shorten the time frame for submission from 30 days to 2 weeks. We hope to be able to enter into contracts by November 15th.
Thank you, Marcos. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Thank you. Next item.
Moving on to consent agenda items, BC 2024-749 through BC 2024-750.
There's just a couple of items here, board members. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as listed. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Today's consent agendas are approved. Moving on to other business.
Yes, we have other business. We have an additional item to add to the agenda under item of note, non-voted. We're adding item number 5, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Senior and Adult Services, submitting an amendment to a grant award from Ohio Department of Aging in connection with the Healthy Aging Grant Program for the period October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. To extend the time period to October 31st, 2024, no additional funds required.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to add this item to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor to add, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is added. Marcos?
Good morning again, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of Senior and Adult Services. We received this Healthy Aging Grant at the beginning of 2024. We were able to put most of that funding into our community social services program, but we had some money left over, and our options program was running short on funds. We were trying to execute an amendment to add those remaining funds to the options program, but the grant time ran out at the end of September. The state has allowed us to extend that grant and will allow us to execute those contracts so we can utilize that leftover funding and help to make the options program whole.
Okay, thank you, Marcos. Are there any questions from the board on this item?
I have a question.
Councilman, please.
My question is, will this extension of time allow you to use all of the remaining funds in the grant, which as I understand from Director P was pretty substantial?
Yeah, there's about $500,000 left that we've allocated to the options program. The goal is to be able to spend it out. We've actually have identified chargebacks that we can do to the grant for these funds.
So, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Cortez, Director P said that about 1.5 million remained unspent. So what's the status with the other million?
My understanding, it was only $500,000 that was remained unspent.
Okay, well, I'll have to get further clarification from the director.
Okay, thank you. Are there additional questions on this item? Seeing no further questions, I will make the motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
We don't need a vote for
Oh.
the item because
Oh, because
it's
it's on the
not
agenda.
voted.
You're right, thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate that. Okay, with that then, is there any other business?
No other business?
Then I will make the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
No public comment?
Oh, thank you. Throw me off my game today.
It's
Is
one
it-
of those days.
Do you really want to tell me there's no public comment? Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Thank you. I will make the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Mr. Director.